Okay, it's Mike Blackburn with loudguitars.com, here with Derreck Sharp, currently lead singer, guitar player with the Guess Who, and we're going to talk to Derreck about his musical career thus far. So Derreck, you're from Western Ontario, way west.
Fort Williams.
So tell me, were you in a musical family? Was there a lot of music around the home growing up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm half Italian. So there was a lot of accordion going on, piano. Everybody sang, mostly in church. My father's side, they all played piano. My grandmother on my father's side was extremely musical. And she actually read music, unlike any of us, which we just played by ear.
So when did you become interested in the guitar? Around what age?
Probably I think I was about 4. I heard Rock Around the Clock, and I decided that that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And I'm not kidding.
Wow.
We were in the back seat of the the radio came on, we were in the back seat of the car. And I had a family that, we all used to sing the songs when they'd come on the radio, and everybody would start singing. It was pretty cool.
So then did you take any formal lessons, or how did you really get going?
No, my grandmother had a piano, and I used to, dick around on that forever, but I didn't really know anything. And then I was determined to play guitar, so I begged my father to buy me one. And he bought me one when I was about 9. He went to Consumers Distributing, remember that?
Yes, sir.
And paid about $10 for this thing. And he got it. It sat around for about 6 months. And I didn't really know what to do with it, other than I wanted to be a rock star. And I had a couple of friends, and we practiced posing and stuff like that and all that. And but then one day, my mother bought me this book, Alfred's Guitar Method, Book 1. And I just went through all the pages quickly and skipped through them. And at the back were pictures, of these with the dots and the chords. So what I did is I figured out how to play 3 of them. And I can't remember the song it was, but it was probably a Beatles song or Monkees or something like that, because I was totally into that. And I learned how to play it. I think it was A Hard Day's Night. It could have been that. And anyways, so I sat there. I learned how to play it. Of course, when you learn how to play something, you just play it over and over and over and over again. Well, this went on all night. And I got up in the morning and started doing it again. And I remember my mother running into my room. She was in amazement that I could actually play a song. There I am playing it and singing it in one night. Now, it wasn't very good, but you get the idea.
So at what age did you move away from Fort Williams to the GTA?
Oh, we moved in '73, so I'd already lived in Toronto by then. It was Halloween night, 1973. We moved here, and we lived downtown for a while at Bathurst and Eglinton, and then we moved out to Etobicoke in '75.
Okay.
And that was really the year. I think that was the year I learned, when we moved out to Etobicoke, because I was 10 years old.
10 years old.
Yeah.
So prior to that, you was just horsing around with friends.
Totally.
Guitar and stuff like that.
Totally. And we were into Kiss and stuff, right? So we used to go. I had a little band of guys that could play as well as I could, which wasn't very good. And we'd take the subway downtown and buy makeup and come home and put it on and dress up like Kiss and air guitar and all of that stuff, right? And it's all we thought about. How to get from A to B, how to get from this to rock star.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So then at 10 years old, you're in Toronto, the big hub of Canada, and still having these dreams of rock and roll stardom and all that kind of good stuff. So how did you find like-minded guys, and when would you say you started your first kind of serious band where you guys thought, hey, we're going to take over the world?
Well, first of all, I think I owe my dad a lot for getting the hell out of Thunder Bay, because I don't think I would have done it if it's such a small town, and I don't think they have much of a music scene. So I think the move here was probably the only way I could have got into it, I guess, right? But Yeah, I was in grade 7 or 8. I don't know. It was around that. I don't know how old I was, 11, 12, when we started a band. I had this band. And just guys that liked, we had one guy, he was taking drum lessons. And the other guy, he played piano, but he wanted to play bass. So he was musical enough to figure out the notes. And then we had this other guy in guitar. And he left, and we did 1 or 2 gigs, I think, for the high school music department party or something. And then the drummer was going to this Waldorf school in Toronto. And he met this guy that played the guitar. So he invited him to join the band, and he came to join the band. And this guy's name was Jesse Cook. You know Jesse, right?
Of course.
Yeah, who knew he was going to become this famous flamenco guitar player. I mean, but anyways, so we had this band for a while. We mostly played in the basement, and played a couple of gigs, and then that ended, and then we went on to other things. Well, pretty much everybody from that band is still playing music, though. Funnily enough.
Wow.
We never did anything. It
So,
wasn't until I was old enough to play in clubs that
Right.
that I really got anywhere.
so at what age would you say you had your first professional band and had your first paying gig, as it were?
Well, my first paying gig was a Ukrainian wedding band. I was 15, and this fella I knew got me into this thing, and I was like, I had to wear this frilly shirt, and I think I was playing bass at the first time, and I thought, wow, and we played, and the people walked in, they gave us tips, and then I got like $150 or something. This is like in 1980,
Wow.
right? And I was like, wow.
You and the wife both started professionally on bass then.
No, well, not really. I played bass only as a means of survival, right? Because it was my way to get in the gig. I would have learned any instrument to get a gig, and I have. I've cheated my way through a lot of gigs. I tell you what.
So then, at what age did Max Headroom come about?
Max Headroom. Who's Max Headroom? Oh, what are you talking about, Max Headroom?
Oh, not Max Headroom. What the heck is the name of that band you were in? Mad About Plaid.
Oh,
Sorry,
God,
Mad About Plaid.
that was a lot later. I was in, I'll tell you quickly. In the late 80s, I was in this kind of club band that did the Six Nighters all over Ontario. It was called the Wayland Possums. And that was really my education in how to play to 2 people and get them going. How to get, how to navigate your way through an audience, right? To me, that was almost the most important schooling I had, and how to play extremely drunk as well. And it was just, it's invaluable, and I wish they still had that kind of thing for musicians, but unfortunately, it's all but, as you know, it's all but gone away, right?
Yeah, I think there's nothing like.
There's nothing like it.
I remember the old days of the Mustache Club, where I
Yeah.
first saw your wife when she was in a band called the Pinups.
Oh, you saw that band?
I saw the Pinups. It would be Thursday to Sunday, 3 sets a night, finished like 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
and that's how you get good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at the Beatles did it. I mean, pretty much every band did it. And that's, it doesn't matter how great the musicians are, really. You can get the best guitar player, the best bass player, the best drummer. You put them in a room once or twice, and it's probably going to be okay at best, right? Being a good band requires dedication and practice and just playing over and over and over again, right? Like Cheap Trick.
Okay, so how old were you when Mad About Plaid came about then?
Mad About Plaid? Well, I was already, that's a darn good question. I think I was about 24 or 25, maybe. I had just gotten married, my starter wife, and they came out. I was playing like the blues R&B kind of circuit with guys like Chuck Jackson and those guys, the Toronto these guys are way older than me, but I just I got my way in. Virgil Scott, who's still a good friend of mine to this day, and you know, those kind of guys. And I was playing, you know, subbing in for people and joining in. I would do anything. So, and I think those guys came out to see me play. That's my memory of it, because one of the original guitar player had gone on his own. So I would say, yeah, probably 1989, 1990.
Okay.
And we recorded for what seemed like an eternity at Kensington Sound. You ever been there?
No, not been there.
It was something else, man. It was on Balsam Street, right in Kensington Market, and you used to record. There was an old Midas board and a reel-to-reel. It was great. You know, you'd go there in the morning, and they'd be dumping meat all over the road, and you know what Kensington Market's like. It's just bustling, and it was a cool vibe. In fact, I did my very first record there. I was in this band in '85 called Zarbo, and he this guy Alex Zarbo got the money to make a record. So we made the whole record at this Kensington Sound. I don't know what the link is between that and Mad About Plaid, but yeah, it was the first vinyl I ever played on, which is kind of cool. And somewhere there's a copy. Somebody must have bought one copy. But anyway, so Mad About Plaid, we ended up doing a bunch of gigs, and I loved playing in that band. It was a great band. There were five. Liz Soderbergh was the singer, and she was amazing. And all of us sang backgrounds. There were a lot of backgrounds, and it was very eclectic type music. And they had won some contest before I joined the band that provided them with a whole whack of money. I think it was called Star Search.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
Could be.
Whatever. It was a precursor to the reality shows of today, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a cool band. You know, they had a percussionist. You know, Art Avalos was the, if you know him, he was the percussionist. Brad Watcher was the drummer. Eric Sustar played bass, and who's the sax player? Ross Wooldridge. He was the sax player. And this guy could hear. His pitch was so good, he could not only hear the note you were singing, but he could hear all the notes within the notes. He was one of those freaky guys that had good ear. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, so tell us then, when did you meet Sass? How did that come about?
Oh, well, it was in 1996, and it was the beginning of the year. I don't remember. Here's what I remember. I was playing in a band called Backstreet with Gary Bright and Charlie Cooley and Jay Speziali, and we and Kevin would come to play with us sometimes. Gary's brother.
Yeah.
And Charlie and Gary went off to play with Amanda Marshall, and they recommended that I come down to audition because they had a cattle call. They auditioned every guitar player known to man. So I went down and played after they auditioned everybody, and then it ended up the original guy took the gig. I can't remember his name, but I didn't get it. Doesn't matter. And about a week later, I get this call from Bruce Moffat, who said he was putting a band together for Sass. And Kevin had recommended me, and he told him, there's only one guy I would get, and it was me, probably because I sang too. Mm-hmm. That was a big thing. It wasn't just the fact that I played guitar, but I played keyboard, and so it's a little harder to find guys that do all the things at once. So he's like, well, I want to come and see you play. So he came to see me play. He showed up for one song in which I broke a string. And so he never really heard me play, but he's like, wow, let's just do it. So we started playing, and then Saz came in, and we played. And then about a week later, we were best friends. That's kind of how it happened.
That's cool. So, moving forward a little bit, what do you think led to the demise of Canadian Idol?
Wow. Well,
I'm still going strong in the States.
well,
Although the numbers aren't what they once were, but
yeah. Well, there's a lot of factors to that. I mean, I'll tell you what I know. Take it with a grain of salt, but it was a very expensive show to produce, and also the American show was playing up here.
yeah.
So they had two, and I just think it got too expensive. And the year they postponed it was the year the stock market took a shit, right?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes,
2008, and everybody was freaking out.
Yeah.
So they postponed it, but I heard they paid, somewhere up in $5 million not to put it on the air or something like that.
Okay.
Just so maybe the competition wouldn't get it or whatever. Anyways, the company that produced it moved on. They had other fish to fry, and they're doing really well with all these other shows like Top Chef. I don't even know because I don't have cable.
What was Sass sad to see it end,
No.
or was she
No.
getting
She was
worn
ecstatic.
out? She was ecstatic.
Well, it's not, it was a great, the people were wonderful. It was a great gig. You'd have to ask her, you're hearing this third hand, but ultimately sitting there trying to come up with new things to say every week
Yes.
is pretty tough. And it wasn't really, I don't think she felt that comfortable,
Critiquing people.
yeah, exactly. And because she's a musician, and she's a very supportive musician, right? When she likes you, boy, she'll talk about you forever. She's a big music fan.
So that wasn't just work for her, that was work for you as well, because people don't realize you had some involvement in musical direction, and certainly the year-end Canada-wide tour, as it were, of the the finalists. You were involved heavily in that.
Yeah, that was, I believe, Jake. Jake, I think I just have this memory of Jake going, "You should do that." And I was like, "Yeah." So Jake represented me and figured it out, and also what happened the first year didn't pan out very well. Whoever won that one,
Ryan, somebody.
yeah, they went on tour and it got canceled after 8 shows or something because they had poor ticket sales, and it just wasn't planned very well.
Yeah.
So they got some better people in place. They got a better agent in place. They got a new manager, and they got me, who not only had experience with music but on the business side. So I came in and mentored the guy for the first month or two, and then put a band together, and really got the arrangements to be cool, because those records were manufactured pretty quick, and that's how I got the gig, and we did it, and it turned out to be the biggest tour of the year. It was the gig that never ended. We thought we were going to be on tour for 4 weeks, and it ended up being the whole year. And I swear to God,
that was the Kalen Porter year, right?
Yes, and it was
a fantastic musician.
Well, the cool thing about it was I had never done a show with little girls screaming so you couldn't hear yourself, and I thought, it was the strangest thing, but it was cool because I can tell people that I did something like that.
Whatever happened to Kalen? I mean, I would have expected him to be a lot more successful than he has been.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the coin,
how tough that is.
you have Jacob, who is doing fantastic.
The heavy thing, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I knew, I'd be, probably a lot better off myself. I don't know why people make it or why they don't. A lot of it has to do with timing. A lot of it has to do with personality. And hey, it's not just how you play, right? It's not just how you play. It's how you.
The presentation, the whole thing.
Exactly. And I come from that school, right? To me, you're there to entertain people, not to go over their heads.